There's so much messaging out there glamorizing entrepreneurship, from being your own boss to making six-figure months to leaving your job and finally building your business. But what if your situation is different? You are actually an entrepreneur, but you are now deciding to return to corporate. The transition is a different one, and it's one that's not talked about a lot. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. The first thing that's really important is to be happy and acknowledge the achievements that you've been able to make so far. Whatever the decision is in terms of why you're deciding to go back to corporate, oftentimes those are personal decisions. In working with a number of clients who have gone through this transition, it's often quite personal and it's often quite challenging to make the decision that they're now going to return to corporate. And so whatever your decision is, acknowledge that you've done amazing work as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You've been able to serve numerous clients, you've been able to impact lives, and that impact is worth something. So don't underestimate how much you've been able to do as an entrepreneur. The second thing you want to keep in mind is having a clear employment target for the kinds of positions you're going to be applying for or the kinds of positions you're going to be going after. When it comes to narrowing down your employment target, we are talking about three main things. You want to narrow down the specific job that you're interested in, the companies that you're interested in, and then the specific industry. When it comes to the job, you want to be clear on what type of work are you interested in doing. How do you see your skills evolving to be able to translate them into that new job that you're interested in, and narrowing down some specific job titles in terms of positions that you're interested in. From there, we now look at target companies. What companies are currently hiring for those jobs? What openings do they have? Are these companies that you're interested in working for? Find out who works there that has the job title that you're interested in, and you want to connect with those people and start expanding your network to connect with people who work at the companies that you're interested in. And then the next level is the specific industry. What industry are you interested in working in? Understanding the industry will help you again with your networking, but it's also going to help you in terms of understanding what the market looks like right now for that industry. Are there job opportunities? Have there been recent layoffs in that industry in particular? Doing your research ahead of time will help you have a better understanding of the industry that you're getting into, the specific company, and then the specific job that you're targeting. If you're like 62% of entrepreneurs in the US, then most likely you didn't have any staff members. What that means is that you are most likely the jack of all trades. You did the marketing, you did the customer service, you were the person who responded to the emails, you responded to the phone calls, you did it all. As the entrepreneur who did it all, you've been able to acquire some amazing skills in different areas. But in the corporate world, often jobs are very targeted in terms of your roles and your responsibilities. And that's why I was telling you in the previous point that it's important for you to narrow down what is your employment target. Because if you've looked at the industry, you've looked at companies, you've looked at the specific jobs, and you've done your research, by now you should have an understanding of what are the roles and responsibilities for the kinds of jobs that I'm interested in. Based on that information, what you want to do now is identify your most relevant transferable skills that align with the industry that you're interested in. So you're not going to talk about all the skills that you have, because you have so many skills that may not be relevant to this particular job. But what you will do is you will start narrowing down to the ones that align the most and showcase how you bring a unique perspective to this position as someone who is making the transition from entrepreneurship to the corporate world. So basically what I'm saying is that you don't want to discredit your previous experience, all the amazing experience that you've acquired as a founder, as a business owner is extremely helpful, but you want to be able to articulate it in a way that someone who is picking up your resume will be able to see how you can translate those skills into the job that you're applying for. The thing that you definitely have to keep in mind is that the company has a need right now. That's why they're hiring. That's why they have this job posting out there. They're looking for someone who can solve their problem. And so with your skill set, what you want to do is show them that you are the right person who can solve the problem that they have at this time. And the way that you do this is by articulating your most relevant skills that align with the need that they currently have. And definitely, I will encourage you, if you need a career coach, it would be great to work with one to help you identify your skills, your transferable skills, and also help you articulate them in a way that aligns with the objectives of the company you're applying to. The next thing you definitely want to do is to network. You want people to know what you're trying to achieve with your career. This is people that you know, people who are in the industry you're targeting or the companies that you're targeting. You want people to know that you're currently seeking employment, and in your networking, what you're ultimately trying to do is to build that brand awareness about who you are and your skill set. You want to get known so that people can think of you when an opportunity arises. And so that's the value really of networking. So consider industry events, consider events that are conferences that are related to the kind of work that you want to do. Look for online events, look for groups of like-minded people who are in the industry or at the company that you're interested in. Ensure that you are making connections also one-on-one with decision makers, with hiring managers. Obviously, I will always encourage you to use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource to be able to expand your reach and connect with maybe old connections that you haven't spoken to in a number of years. If you were in corporate in the past, go back to those connections that you had. Start reestablishing relationships with those people. Find out where they are, what's happened to their careers. And ultimately, when it comes to networking, and you definitely know this as a business owner, that networking is so valuable, but you don't want it to be only about you. You want it also to be about the value that you're bringing to that person. So your immediate response or your immediate message to a person shouldn't be like, hey, I'm coming back to corporate, I need a job. You want to, find out how things have been with them and make it about them initially. It's really about establishing a relationship. So make it about them in the beginning. Find out how they're doing, how their career's been, what they've been able to achieve. And then in establishing that relationship, you'll have that opportunity and that opening to share where you currently are at and what you're trying to achieve with your career as well. Another thing that you definitely have to consider when you're transitioning from entrepreneurship to corporate is that mindset shift that needs to happen from being the boss or the CEO to now being an employee. It's a different role entirely, and it will involve you having to exercise a lot of humility and also a lot of patience to realize that you're no longer the person who's making all the decisions. You're no longer the person who's just going to go ahead and work at any time that you want to work because you're managing your own business, and you're not necessarily the person who's driving that strategic vision. You are now an employee, meaning that you are part of a reporting structure. This means that you have someone that you report to that probably reports to someone else, and that you're basically one piece of a very big puzzle, an important piece of the puzzle. Nonetheless, you still need to recognize that it's a change in terms of your thinking and how you approach the work that you do. So the main thing you have to keep in mind is that your success is basically intertwined with the success of the team and the success of the company as a whole. So it's important that you understand your role in that corporate structure and that you are able to identify yourself and ensure that you are progressing and advancing within the structure. Okay, so now I've been talking quite a bit about do your research. So I actually want to share with you a couple of resources that can help you do your research. You don't have to use them all, but I'm sharing some with you and you can pick and choose which ones work best for you. So in terms of doing your research, research about your employment target and in preparation for interviews or even writing your resume, you definitely want to look at the company website. Looking at the company website will help you have a good idea of the company culture, what are the services that they offer, what products do they create, and this is information that will help you see how you can position yourself within that company. In addition, when you look at company websites, often you'll get information about job opportunities that are currently available. On the company website, you'll also find out about their reporting structure. They most likely have an about section where you can see who the leadership is. And sometimes you can also even find information about who is currently hiring within the company. So going to visit a company's website is quite important as you begin your search. The next thing is you definitely want to use LinkedIn. As I mentioned earlier, LinkedIn is a great resource for networking, but it's also great to do your research in terms of understanding industry trends, in terms of understanding a company's culture as well, because a lot of companies have a LinkedIn company page where you can see their posts and get a good idea of what they've been up to. In addition to that, within LinkedIn, there's a specific tool called the LinkedIn Career Explorer. I have another video where I share in detail how you can use the Career Explorer to make a career change, and I'll post the link right above. But basically, the LinkedIn Career Explorer is an amazing tool that enables you to narrow down, based on where you currently live, what are the opportunities that are available in your field. And also what it does is that it matches your profile to the skills that are necessary for the kinds of position you're interested in. And then it tells you, okay, if there's a gap between what you're trying to achieve and where you are, these are the skills that you need to build on. In addition to that, it allows you to see within your current network who works in that field or in that industry that you're interested in. So if you want to understand how to better use the LinkedIn Career Explorer, check out that video, and it's going to help you to really do your research and narrow down what kinds of opportunities you are interested in, and then what kinds of skills you need to get or improve to get into that field. The next resource I'd encourage you to look at is industry reports or company annual reports. So depending on how big the company is, you will most likely be able to find their annual report on the company website. And depending on the industry as well, there are some industries that publish reports about progress in that industry. So these are all resources that you can look out for. I particularly like looking at annual reports because often you'll find financial information in there, especially in the times that we're in right now, where a lot of companies are struggling. Being able to understand the financial situation of the company will help you in your decision making as well. The next thing is look at job boards. Job boards are definitely where you're going to find information about current openings and what opportunities are available. You can look at job boards like Indeed or LinkedIn. Those are the more general job boards. But in addition to that, I would encourage you to look at niche job boards. So there are job boards that are specific to finance positions, or there are job boards that are specific to roles in environmental sciences. So depending on what industry you're in, there are job boards that are specific to that industry. So what I would encourage you to do is just do a Google search, niche job boards, and then add the name of your industry, and you'll be able to see that you'll get some options of job boards that are not the common ones. And sometimes smaller companies tend to post on those job boards than on the bigger ones, because often there are costs associated to posting on some of these bigger websites, and there are lower costs in terms of posting on some of these niche job boards. So something to consider as you're looking at job boards. Two more resources if you're in Canada or the US. In Canada, there is Job Bank, which is a government resource. It is a job board, but also it provides you with industry information. It provides you with information on what the labor market is like for a particular industry. You're able to narrow down based on where you live. So it's a great resource to help you do your research. A great thing that I like about it is, for example, if you search financial analyst, it'll give you a bunch of job titles that are related to being a financial analyst, but worded differently. So maybe financial officer or investment analyst. So it'll give you different options to be able to do your search to find a wider range of opportunities when you're looking at job boards. And then the US equivalent is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And on that website, it's very similar to what I just shared about the job bank, but you're able to look through their occupational handbook and you're able to break down by state and get information on what are current labor market trends depending on the state that you're in and depending on the specific position that you're looking at. And similarly, they have a whole description of specific positions as well as the different job titles for those roles. We've mentioned LinkedIn a number of times throughout this video, so if you're someone who's trying to get started on LinkedIn and trying to build your profile, check out this video right here where I go through the 6 elements of a successful LinkedIn profile. And I'll see you in that one. Take care.